You know, I was really hoping I didn't have to make another one of these videos. I was hoping I didn't have to, genuinely. You know, after the Florida game, I was hoping that, you know what, this next stretch is going to be rough. Yes, you're without Larkin. You're without Kopp. You're without Rasmussen now. You're without 3 of your top 4 centers. And you're going up against Tampa Bay and Dallas. I didn't expect any different outcome from that. I didn't really expect them to come out of that game with either of those games with 2 points. They managed to skim 1 point out of Dallas, which was fine. But then you go on this nice little air quotes run, and you beat the hell out of Calgary, which you should, and then you beat the hell out of Montreal, a division opponent. And that's when I was like, okay, this team's different. You know, Kopp came back earlier than expected. It's like, this team's different. This team has it in them that they want to make the playoffs and that they're going to make the playoffs. All they got to do is beat after beating Montreal, all they got to do is beat one of Boston, Ottawa, or Philadelphia. That's all they have to do. They have to, or beat 2 of them. That's all they have to do. Boston was an insanely winnable game. You were winning the game. Like, you were winning the game in the 3rd period. And you could have won it. Swayman was beatable. Kind of. Like, but you let him get too comfortable. And Boston wasn't playing very well. Gibson lets in 2 soft goals. And then Swayman is comfortable now. So he stands on his head. And you lose the game. Okay, fine, you can reset. You know, you can handle the loss to Boston. Reset, refocus for Ottawa, which is a very winnable game if you just keep playing the way you did in your last 3 games. And what did you do? What did you do tonight? I'll tell you what you did tonight. Fuck all. You didn't do a fucking thing. You went out there, played the flat first period you always do for whatever unholy reason. This team cannot start games on time. Don't understand why. I don't believe it's a coaching thing, because this has been 3 different coaches now this has happened with. So, is the leadership group? I have a hard time believing that, because we all know Larkin is a motor 100% guy. Seider and Raymond, they're going to be going at it 100%, as best as they can at least. And, I mean, what else is there, right? Like, are you hoping that Kopp, Comfer, Bernard Docker, are you hoping those are going to be our energy guys, right? Are you hoping they're going to be the guys who kick things off for you in the first period? I mean, you would hope that they can be, but they're not those guys. They're complementary players. They're not your top go 100% every single moment of the game guys, right? They're not the guys you need going 100% of the time. They're the guys you want going 100% of the time, but they're just not capable of it. You need your stars to do that. And I can't put too much on Larkin here, because he came back probably earlier than he should have, right? And he wouldn't have had to if you didn't just stop playing hockey. Like, I understand, like I said, you lose Larkin, you lose Kopp, you lose Rasmussen, 3 of your 4 centers, right? No matter how bad Rasmussen's been this season, he's still one of your top 4 centers, for better or for worse. There is no team in this league. The Colorado Avalanche, the Tampa Bay Lightning, fucking Vegas Golden Knights, they couldn't survive losing 3 of their 4 main centers. And that's what happened to the Red Wings. So you can understand why they were, struggling. But you proved you can win games without those guys. And then you get to the back and all of a sudden you suck again? Like, you're just bad? No. Like, you can't put this on Larkin. He scored, right? Came back earlier than he probably should have, and he scored. DeBrincat technically scored in this game, but fuck-ass offside called. I'm not even going to get into offside reviews. It's Matt Duchene needs to be banned from the league is what I'm saying. But, Patrick Kane, he didn't show up. Raymond, he showed up kind of, right? I don't think he's playing 100%. This isn't This isn't 100% Lucas Raymond, we're saying. Although on the disallowed DeBrincat goal, that was one hell of a pass, and he had a grade A chance earlier in the second period, which I believe was going to go in, but Omar got just enough of it to make it go wide. JVR had a fantastic chance, hit off the post like usual. Seider had like one or two great chances, hit off the post per usual. Falk and Sherratt struggled this entire game. And I like Falk, I think he's been a fantastic addition to the team. But this wasn't his best game, admittedly, and I'm sure he'd tell you that. Same with Sherratt. And, a lot of people are going to use this game to bash Sherratt too, and I don't understand why he had a bad game, but, who didn't? DeBrincat got into a fight with 8 seconds left. That was kind of nice. But DeBrincat shouldn't have to be getting into fights. He's that, especially with 8 seconds left with the goalie pulled, he's your best scorer. And then for some reason, Larkin got a penalty out of that after being in a headlock. I have no clue what happened there. So it's Shine had another goal. Shine's providing a lot of energy. It's tough to watch games like this. And what sucks is, they're capable of so much more. Hell, you watched it the last 3 games before this one, right? The Boston one, unfortunate. Your goaltender lets in 2 soft goals. That happens sometimes. The other goaltender stood on his head. What are you going to do, right? But this game, Olmark's a beatable goalie. Olmark was a beatable goalie in this game. And you just let him sit there without any issues, right? You got shots on goal, sure. Most of them weren't dangerous. And the ones that were, you didn't have anybody in net in front of him to, cover his sight. It's the power play. Oh, that fuck ass power play. I don't understand how this team can go from having one of the best power plays in the league. It was a top 3 or 5 power play in the league at one point, and then turn of 2026, it's dead. They went 1 for 4 on the power play today. They went 1 for 5 on the power play against Boston, right? You can't do that. You can't expect to have less than 25% success rate on your power play and every night and expect to win games. It's just not something you can do. Thank God the penalty kill isn't what it was last year, because that'd be awful. Sorry, my phone went off. I forgot to mute that. This is all one take. There's gonna be virtually no editing in this video because I just wanna talk. I believe in this team. I do, and I still do have faith that they'll make the playoffs. Your next games are only against, checks notes, Buffalo, hottest team in hockey, the Flyers, who are apparently surging now, the Penguins, who just got smoked by Colorado, mind you, but they're not the team everybody expected them to be this season. That's how you close out March. It'd be great if you could get 4 out of those 6 points. 6 out of 6 would be great, but I'll take 4 out of 6. Then you play against Philadelphia again, the first on April 2nd. The Rangers at Madison Square Garden. You should win that game. Then Minnesota, Columbus, Philadelphia again. Then New Jersey, Tampa, Florida to end out the season. And the way I look at it, you've got to take at least, how many points is that? Was that? That's 6 there in March. 8, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26 points left on the table. Something like that. I think you got to take at least 20 of them now. Right? You put yourselves in this position. You had a damn near 10-point cushion going into the Olympic break. And you fucked it. And, I was able to write off the little skid they had right before the Olympic break as, they had the most back-to-backs out of any team up to that point. and one of the toughest schedules of any team up to that point. So I was willing to write that off. Guys go out, get some rest. Except for the Olympic guys, they get some rest. They gear up for the final push to the playoffs, and it looked like it would work for a little bit. But then obviously Larkin went down. Then 2 games after, Kopp went down. Then 1 game after, Rasmussen went down. And all of a sudden, half your roster's Grand Rapids Griffins. And you know what's sad? For most of the time while those guys were up, they outperformed half of this roster. That's not good. And, if people like to say I'm, an Yzer stan and I can never criticize Yzerman. That's not true. I've been very critical of a lot of his free agent signings. I say I understand why they were signed, right? I'm not saying that doesn't mean they didn't think they're good. Do I think Andrew Kopp's worth $5.6 million a year? Fuck no. I don't think that. He's not even half a point per game guy right now. But I understand why they needed to throw that money at him, because they needed to bring somebody here to be the second line center who wasn't Pius Suter. Do I think Compher's worth $5 million? Fuck no. But they needed someone else to play center. And it's rough too, because there were ways to fix this, right? You could have gotten a forward at trade deadline. Granted, I understand why Yzerman didn't do it. Robert Thomas would have cost you probably somewhere in the realm of what Falk got, plus another 2 top prospects and another high pick, right? That's just how insane the market was. And obviously it had to have been somewhere around that insanity, because none of the top forward targets moved, right? Thomas didn't move. Trocheck didn't move. Pettersson didn't move, right? So I still have some faith in the Yzer plan, because the prospects do look good. MBN, he's a buzzsaw. Carter Bear looks insane. Max Plant, Eddie Genberg, Sandin Pelka, who just got sent to Grand Rapids. Didn't even talk about that. Sandin Pelka and Brant Signigaard both got sent back down to Grand Rapids, which I kind of expected. We all expected ASP would, just because he hadn't played in 5 games. Although I'm not sure if he wouldn't have been an upgrade over Bernard Docker, but that's for a different story or a different video. But yeah, I don't know where you go from this, right? I think, I'm not saying fire Yzerman, right? Because at the end of the day, he did what he said he was going to do, right? Larkin said last season that it was a bit demoralizing that Yzerman didn't bring in any help at the trade deadline when they needed it. And so Yzerman put his money where his mouth was, ponied up the assets to get some help on defense, because that was really all you could do, unless you wanted to pay a first round pick for, a bottom 6 guy, like every contending team does. But Red Wings aren't contenders, so no chance you're doing that. But if we miss the playoffs this season, then I'm gonna start to have to lean towards that way, right? Because I can only defend so much, and I'm a big let the prospects develop, see what happens. You can't criticize the Yzer plan when we haven't even seen most of the prospects he's drafted yet. And then you get the whole, if they're such good prospects, why aren't they up yet? Well, because that's just not how hockey prospects work, right? Hockey, the only sport whose prospects are harder to develop, I believe, is baseball. But this isn't football. This isn't basketball. You can't just draft some dude out of college who's already in their early to mid-20s and throw them on the field with a bunch of grown men. You can't do that, right? It's just not possible. These kids are getting drafted at, 18, 19 years old. So you can't just throw them into an NHL game without them having the skill level to do it. Schaefer, Bedard, Celebrini, Smith, I understand them getting thrown into there because they're almost generate. Well, I don't know if Smith Will Smith is a generational talent, but Celebrini, Bedard, Schaefer, I'd already consider to be in that talent realm. Like, Schaefer might score 40 goals as a defenseman. Like, it's insane what he's doing. But yeah, I don't know. My patience is wearing a bit thin. You know, like I said, I'm a patient man with the Yzer plan. I am. And I truly do believe that you can't really judge the rebuild until most of these top prospects are there and have been there, done that. And, you know, my benchmark is a full season, NHL season, right? So I'm not going to judge MBN on his 12-game stint with the Red Wings. You know, I'm not going to judge Sandin Pellikka on his stint with the Red Wings on the second pair out of necessity, you know, especially because towards the end of it, he was only playing 5-6 minutes a night. I'm not going to judge Marco Kasper too much. You know, he's turning it on more recently. Obviously, the puck's not going in the back of the net for him still, but he's still playing his game. Emmett Finney was an absolute fucking gem to find. They need to put him back at center, I believe. And yeah, I don't know after that. You'd have a lot of jerseys on the ice. You know, Comfer, he picked his play up for a little bit while Larkin was out. And Kopp, while they were both out, he picked up his play a decent amount. He was absent this game. You know, and it's rough. It's rough, you know. This team's a roller coaster, man. And I'll never turn my back on this team. I won't. I'm a ride or die. And, you know, as much as I like to laugh at Leafs fans about it, you know, I'm never going to turn my back on this team. It's just never going to happen. You know, I can't bring myself to do it. I love the team too much. And this loss tonight against the Senators, it hurt even more. Because this was the game that could help you get back on track, bring in some momentum to the Buffalo game on, Friday? Yeah, Friday. Because you need it. You need that momentum. And then come back to Detroit, go against Philly, win that one, get some separation there. Pittsburgh, you know, beat them down to hopefully keep their division out of the way. And it's I don't know, man. I don't know. What I do know is, like I said, I love this team. I'm never going to give up on them, but some switch needs to flip real fast, or else there's going to be there already is a lot of calls for heads to roll. But I'm not one of those people yet. But missing the playoffs this season because of another March collapse, it might push me over the edge, right? Like, it might push me over the edge to this team needs to, if they miss the playoffs again this year, you know, 10 years, it might push me over the edge to Yzerman's got 1 year left to do something. Otherwise, some change has to be made. It's not McClellan. I don't believe it's McClellan. You know, I believe some of his staff needs to be changed, right? Like, I think that, who was it? Trent Yanni, who's in charge of the power play? Or is it Bugner? I think it's Bob Bugner, who's in charge of the power. I don't remember. Whoever's in charge of the power play, they need to go. Like, you can't go a full month, 2 months with an anemic power play like this and still have a job. You just can't. Right, like the Maple Leafs, their power play was dog shit until early December when they fired their power play coach, and then they shot off like 4 straight wins. Granted, the Leafs are still gonna probably finish last in the division, but that's besides the point. It's this is definitely something that needs to be fixed, and I don't know exactly how you fix it. I've only got ideas, but I'm not behind that bench. I'm not behind that GM counter, and neither are any of you. All we can do is bitch about it online. So that's all I have to say about it. Sorry for such a long video, but I needed to talk about this because this loss felt like something indicative of what's to come, right? It felt like this felt like a potential straw that broke the camel's back. Or at the very least, we're getting close to the amount of straws it's going to take. That camel is buckling right now, and the Wings need to do something to relieve that pressure. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave in the comments what you guys think below, and be nice about it. Or don't. I don't care. If you're not nice, I'm not going to respond to you. That's just how it goes. So, I'll talk to you guys later.